is another recently extinct animal that you probably didn't know existed, the California Condor Louse. This is the California Condor Louse, and as you may have gathered, this is a type of louse that lived on the feathers of the California condor. Now, the reason for the extinction of the California Condor Louse is actually very fascinating. It's termed as extinction by conservation. California condors are a large species of vulture that almost very nearly went extinct and are considered to be one of the greatest conservation success stories in the world. In the 80s, there was a massive conservation effort made in order to save these guys, where all 27 remaining individuals were brought into captivity in the San Diego Zoo in attempts to breed them and reestablish the wild population. These wild condors, like pretty much every wild large animal, had their own special unique population of parasites, such as this guy, the California Condor Louse. However, when these birds were brought into captivity, they were deloused, and all of the remaining California condor lice were removed from the remaining California condors, effectively causing the extinction of these lice. As far as I'm aware, a kind of decontamination is usually done to animals entering or leaving a zoo space in order to prevent contamination of other animals or humans working. However, this decontamination completely obliterated the remaining California condor lice, which relied entirely on California condors to survive. There was actually very little research done into the lice themselves and how they impacted the condors, but it is hypothesized now that these lice actually had a very little negative impact on the birds themselves, and overall were not harmful to the health and survival of the California condors. Now, this overall is a very tricky situation. Lice, kind of as a definition, are parasites, and while parasites overall suck, pun intended, they are still an incredibly important and necessary feature of every ecosystem. Your ecosystem needs parasites. Like it or not, they need to be here. So, it's not great to cause an extinction of an entire species, even a parasitic species. However, it was the job of the people at the zoo and other scientists and volunteers and conservationists to ensure the best chance of survival for the California condors, which included getting rid of any possible disease or parasite that could affect the recovery of the species. However, that does beg the question, why were the California condors more important than the California condor lice? Conservation should focus on saving the largest number of species possible, and not just the big, fancy, very charismatic animals like the California condor, but also the small, gross, and uncharismatic ones such as lice, or beetles, or flies. Small and gross animals often play very important parts in the ecosystem, whether as detritivores, or cleanup crews, or even parasites. And by ignoring the conservation of something like a California condor louse in favor of conserving something like a California condor will have consequences on the ecosystem. They may be small, but they still will be there. So honestly, I'm curious. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that people should have tried a bit harder to save the California condor louse along with the condors, or should we focus, as we did, more on the conservation of the condors themselves?